Well, my name is Justin Anthony Fletcher, you know, and I go by the name Tony, or Tone. You know, many people know me as Tony. I come from Brooklyn, New York. My family is Jamaican. My relatives are Jamaican, and they're, trying to raise me like that during my young years. Yeah, so it was like my father had to rule with an iron fist of discipline. You know, you break those rules, you just get an ass whooping, and that's how it went. And he whooped you like you were a slave. My whole childhood was really full of that, you know, being forced to go to church and not really understanding the concept of God except he throws lightning bolts. But that was just my conception of God at a young age because, I didn't really understand. I'm on my knees praying, but I didn't really know why.
How long were you around your father?
My whole entire life up until the age of 13 when he left the home. So after he left the home, it's like I realized there was nobody around to keep me in line. And that was it. I made things pretty hard for my mom. You know, I just ran amok. You know, she couldn't control me. I was out into the streets, you know, getting into mischief. And that was it. Next thing you know, started getting arrested for minor stuff, and then it escalated. You know, next thing you know, I was getting locked up for stolen cars, you know, assaults, you know, getting caught with knives, weapons, and it just got worse.
Tell us, why did your father leave and exactly how did you feel about that?
Well, I felt hurt behind that when he left, because, having a father figure was good to have in the household, and then, everything is organized, and then all of a sudden everything is chaotic, you know? So I felt hurt behind that, and he left because of many reasons, you know? My mother and him, I don't know, they weren't, well, she was going into a depression, and he didn't know how to cope with it. And, she needed somebody to be strong for her, and he couldn't be strong for her. So I guess that's why he left. And she ended up dying as a result.
So tell us exactly how was it for your mother, when she left, when your father left the household? How did it affect her and exactly what was she going through?
It affected her on all levels because now she had to be the, the mom and the dad. She's not equipped in no way to be a dad, especially to a teenage boy. So it affected her. She was heartbroken. She was waiting for him to return. The years went by. He didn't return.
How many siblings do you have, and were you the only child in the household?
Well, it's 10 of us all together. 12, two died at birth. But they, you know, ten of them, they are from Jamaica. And I didn't really get to meet none of them until they came over here. My mother had to leave them over there as babies just to come over here and make a life for herself so she can later on send for them, you know? And a lot of them were angry with her because of that, but she had no choice.
So, did all of your siblings make it to America, or are they still in Jamaica?
All of them are over here now. You know, they made it over here safe and sound. You know, they might have had a hard time in Jamaica, you know, growing up as little kids without her. But eventually they made it over here and they made it. They made a life for themselves. They became successful. Happy ending for all.
So, after your father left, it was just your mother. How many of your brothers and sisters were living with you at that time?
Actually, about 2 to 3. It was me, my brother Jermaine, then Jackie would come from the group home every now and then it was Marcel because he came from the Bronx. He discovered he had family. He was our other brother by my mother's other baby father. So he wanted to be a part of the family also. So he came by and then Calvin came from Jamaica and then Calvin was there. So it was like 4 of us, 4 to 5 of us.
So, how exactly did the death of your mother impact her children and family?
Well, it brought everyone together because of the funeral. That's the first time like all of us have been there, all at one area space. So, you know, it brought us together and it might have made us grieve and, you know, also party, have a good time at the same time. You know, we didn't look at it as something that was sad because she was in depression and she was happy to go and she was a good person. So we all knew that she was going to a better place.
Now, during them times, you said you were running the streets after your father left. Tell us, the way your life changed by making that decision.
You know, I went from a church life to a street life, and then I fell in love with the street life. It was like, you know, no rules. There was no rules at all. So I did what I want, you know, at this young age, 13, 14. You know, I did what I want. I I got into brawls. I got into fights. You know, pe- people, people's children used to complain about me and say, "Dad, I hate him. Mom, I can't stand that guy." So, you know, because I used to get into fights. And I just was a popular, like, street thug. So, when that fame built up, the enemies was building up at the same time. And one day we went to a party, and I went to a party and I got drunk. Got so drunk out of my mind, you know. Alcohol was my downfall. Drinking and everything, so young, I wasn't supposed to do that. Because it made me feel real violent. It made me feel this rush, you know, that just wasn't good. It wasn't healthy, you know. So I should have never drunk. But that night I did drink, and I drank way too much. So, when I woke up from that night, it wasn't from my home. I didn't make it back home. That night I woke up in the hospital, but it wasn't the next morning. It wasn't the morning after that neither. Or after that. Or after that. It was months later, almost a year. Yeah, I was in a coma for months. But when I woke up, I had all my senses. My memory was intact. My speech, everything was still intact, like, they couldn't believe it.
So, what exactly happened to put you in that coma?
Well, that night, there was an altercation with the same guy I went to the party with. And, the girls was, giving us too much play in the club, in the basement party, and the guys were getting jealous. So, after the party, it's like a altercation broke out, and then I went to his defense. I tried to jump in to defend this guy who called himself a friend. And next thing you know, somebody comes up behind me and shoots me 2 times in the head. Close range.
You said you was in a coma and you woke up after the coma. After waking up, what exactly did you go through?
No. You might want to find out what I went through while I was in a coma.
Tell us.
Yeah. See, because while I was in the coma, I had dreams, and one of those dreams played a very significant role in waking me up out of the coma, because I saw my best friend named Curtis, who had died. He died at the age of 15, and I was 15 when I got shot. So he died right before me. And when I was in that coma, I saw Curtis. He was in a white robe, and he was in the light, in a whole light area. And Curtis was calling me to him, to the light. And I said, wow, Curtis. I got excited. I started to walk to Curtis. And then I remember a voice in my head that I heard. It was Curtis's mother voice. It was her voice. She came to the block that day after Curtis had got shot. And she gave me this look. And the look in her eyes told me something was wrong. And she just said, Curtis is dead. And then, after that, a part of me left. Part of me died. But that's the voice I heard while I was in the coma. And I said, wait a minute, Curtis is dead. I caught myself, so I'm walking into the light, and I decide that, things are getting kind of hairy over here. And I pull back. And as I pull back and I turn around, that was the very day I woke up. That's why that particular dream of going to the other side actually woke me up. Because Curtis was calling me into the light, and I knew he was dead. Therefore, I turned around. And this is in a coma. But it sure woke me up. And when I woke up to extraordinary pain. That's when I felt the gunshots going off over and over and over again. Like boom, boom, boom.
So you didn't feel pain when you got shot?
I was so drunk, I don't remember the pain. So I didn't really feel it when I got shot.
All you saw was what was in front of you, and then the next thing you woke up.
Yeah.
So, man, 2 times getting shot in the head.
Twice.
There was no pain. You didn't hear anything. You didn't feel nothing.
No, I have like flashbacks. One flashback was a total impact of pain, which I recall as the first gunshot. And then the second gunshot must have just put me into the coma. So that's what I recall from the first gunshot.
Okay, and you were saying after waking up, that's when you felt
The pain, the brutal pain, it put me to tears. This brutal pain put me to tears, and I'm not easy to cry. You know, I'm not easy to break down and cry. So this was obviously very painful. I had tubes in my mouth. I had a tube in my head to drain the bad blood out. I had a tube in my neck. I had tubes all down my arms and legs. I was on life support. Machine was breathing for me. And the doctors proclaimed me brain dead as a vegetable. They sure did. They told my family to be realistic. They said, he didn't get shot. He got shot in the head. Not once, but twice. Be realistic. Like, he's a vegetable. If he wakes up, he won't remember no one. And he won't remember nothing. He'll just be up. You know, that's what they said. That was their diagnosis on me as I was in the coma. Because one of the bullets went straight through my brain and came through my nose. And then the other bullet was straight in my brain. It was lodged, and they couldn't touch it. They couldn't touch it. Because they said if they touch it, I would die immediately. So they left it like that, and the bullet was just there.
Is it still there?
Oh no. They used a computer, guided laser to remove it, because the bullet, my mom was praying and everything, and the church was praying, and they said the bullet has to move. And that's like the power of God, and it moved. And it floated to an area where they said they can achieve taking it out without any further harm. And it was successful.
So, when was the day you got out the hospital?
The exact day, I wouldn't remember. And I just remember going to a house party and coming out of the hospital. That's all. But I was released like a few times, like for visits, from the rehab.
So were the doctors surprised that you were able to talk and remember your family?
They called me the miracle child. They called me the miracle child because I just defied everything what they said. And this was miraculous. This was a higher power involved. This was God.
And the doctors wanted your family to pull the plug when they were saying be realistic.
Yeah.
Your family decided not to pull the plug. How did that go?
Well, this just happened. God intervened, and He made me wake up.
At the time, they might have decided to pull the plug.
Yeah, they were determined to pull the plug because they said this guy's brain is putty, silly putty, and like they didn't see the sense in it because it was 2 times in the head, point blank range, with a 38 special, a quite big caliber handgun, a very large hand caliber.
So, when you were doing the visits, when did they officially let you out of the hospital? Were you in a wheelchair?
Well, while I was in the wheelchair, I was so persistent to get out. That was the first thing that hit my mind is must get out of wheelchair, must get out of wheelchair. So, I wanted to, do my therapy and try my best to get out. And I even prayed to God to turn the situation around. And I asked Him, I pleaded, and I said, please get me out this wheelchair. Please get me out this situation. So, my recovery was actually very speedy. And I started to recover quicker and quicker. And my father would come by the hospital, and now this is when he was actually, back in my life from the age of 13 until I was 15, waking up out of coma. That's when my father decides to begin my life, when, it could have almost been too late. So, he came, and then he started showing the moral support that I needed, bringing food and money and stuff like that. And it counted, it was small, but it counted, It helped me to get the strength back that I needed to get back on my feet. And also my girl at the time I was with, named Sarah, she was very supportive, and she was by my side. Also my other friend Teresa, who was by my side. There were like 2 females I was involved with at the moment. And then when I woke up out the coma, they were both at each side of my bed, and it was just a very awkward moment. And it was a big argument. And my mother had to ban one of them from coming in to see me because she wanted to fight. And I just woke up out the coma. So it was a lot going on, but my whole neighborhood was there because I was like very popular. So my whole neighborhood was there, but the rehab went very well. And then I was actually the only one in the hospital, in the rehab, who could walk. And plus, I had a lot of willpower to push myself. And they saw that I had this willpower. So they knew I wasn't going to need the wheelchair. That was when I got shot. I walked out of the hospital.
So, did you ever wonder who shot you? Did you ever want to get them back?
I still wonder. And I wanted to get them back for the longest time. You know? But then it's like I had no leads. And then it's like I didn't want to chase the past because I wanted to move forward. Because, you know, if you dwell on the past, you can never move forward. You know, as much as I wanted to get at the person and get revenge, I just said, I'll just let God get the revenge. And who knows what became of that person? Who knows? Because I don't think I did anything to this person. You know, I went to a house party. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or maybe an enemy saw me and said now is the perfect time to get him. You know, and it could have been any amount of guys. Could have been the guy I went with, because he was like kind of jealous of me, envious. I don't know why, you know, because my swag, my style, whatever. But he just had something against me, but try to be my friend at the same time. Snake in the grass, you know? So when I went to the house party with him, I never came back from that party. You know, he invited me out, and then I ended up getting a shot in the head. I don't know if he did it, I don't know if he set me up, or if it was just a random enemy. You know, because I had so much haters.
Did you ever see that friend again after that happened?
He came to the hospital with a bogus excuse. And I said to him, who did it? Who shot me? And then he walked away. And he said, I can't talk about this. This is giving me a headache. And walked away. Just like that. And I never seen him again.
Did you ever try to look for him again?
I did try to look for him again. A few times. He was nowhere to be found. Nowhere. You know, I just wanted to talk to him and find out the truth. But it's like I could never get the truth. So when you can't get the truth, you just move on. You know, or you'll be stuck in the past.
How exactly did this affect your family?
I think this devastated a lot of my family. It sent my mother's depression into a greater depression, and she became catatonic, kind of, and her will, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, you know, and you know, because me and my mom was close, and we used to just sit up all night talking, drinking tea, and things of that nature. And, you know, after that, it's like I was her favorite son, you know. So that sent her into a depression that made my sisters sad. My brother, that made my brother Carl, that made him go crazy. He came up, he lives in Pennsylvania. He came up to New York in a rage with, with his gun. And he was looking for these people that shot me. He tried his best to find the perpetrator and could not. When I woke up out the coma, the police questioned me and asked me, did I know who shot me? But I didn't know, so I couldn't tell them. So the police didn't find him neither. So this guy didn't get no form of justice unless God already got him. Which 9 times out of 10 probably did.
How old were you at the time?
I was 15 years old. And, you know, I was a dropout from high school, junior high. And that was the worst decision I ever made. If I could go back, I would have tried to stay in school. I would have tried to stay in school because, you know, education is the key, you know, to a success and to knowledge. So, you know, I'm kind of, that's one of the decisions that was bad, but at the same time, it was a 50-50 thing, because the reason why I say that is because school was just as bad as the streets. And then it was worse in school because the girls used to give me so much attention, even though I didn't come there for that. And the guys hated my guts for it. They couldn't stand me. You know? They wanted to jump me. They wanted to fight me. I'm facing this in class. So, how can I study? How can I concentrate? The class is too noisy. The class was just too noisy. So, I said, you know, I lost interest. It became like less interesting. So I dropped out eventually. Went to the corner of the streets and started hustling. You know, soon I was making money. Soon I was putting food in my fridge, bread on the table, you know, and everybody knew I was a hustler. So that's how I, you know, started to live my life. It just became a regular kind of thing for me.
When did you decide to change your life around? Was it after the incident?
After getting shot in the head, you know, it kind of like turned on the light bulb. You know, I was like, wow, I almost died. This was death. This was death. I had machines breathing for me, so this was death. I went to the other side, so this was death. So basically, I said, you know, I'm so unaccomplished, and I could have died. At least I could have had my education. You know, at least I could have had my diploma. At least I could have had some college credits, or, you know, at least that could have been my path. You know, but it's like the devil wasn't trying to make it easy for me.
Yeah. When you say the devil wasn't trying to make it easy for you, are you saying that he kept trying to get you, or?
Yeah, like the adversary was trying to make my life like extra difficult. Like he was influencing me to make the wrong decisions, and I just went along with it. And he had so much control over me. I was a manipulative mind. You know, it's like easily influenced by the peer pressure. I'm surprised I didn't do crack. You know, that's one thing they couldn't get me to do. But because I saw what it did to people, but yet I sold it. But at the same time, I didn't want to be manipulated by that particular thing. So, he couldn't get me there.
So, was getting shot the only terrible thing would you say happened to you?
The most terrible thing is like when I was 19. After I recovered from the gunshot and was doing very well and was running, swimming, driving, doing everything normal again. One day I was crossing the street with my cousin and my nephew, my other nephew, and a car hit me. The car was speeding 80 miles an hour, and it hit me in the ear and dragged me one block and shredded my skin to pieces and gave me another brain damage. And they found me on the next block. The car that hit me was totaled. It looked like it ran into a tree or a brick wall. The whole hood smashed in, windshields, everything smashed in. It looked like it hit something solid when it just hit me. Because he kept, on the accelerator. He was trying to finish me off. And the damage was 10 times worse than getting shot in the head. Yeah, so I was told by the doctors. I was taken to Brookdale Hospital in Brooklyn, New York. And it was an emergency. Somebody was watching when this car hit me, and they called 911. So at the time, I was lucky this person was watching. This person was like an angel watching. And he saw the whole thing, and they got me the ambulance. As they called 911, the cops were standing up over me, laughing. That's the last thing I remember. And the cops was laughing at me and saying, "Hey, look what you did to this guy's car. You totaled this guy's car. Look." And they were laughing, and I don't know what was so funny. So I passed out, and then, I was in and out of consciousness. And when I woke up on an operating table. That seemed to be the norm now. Waking up on an operating table, And when I woke up on this operating table, the doctor said, we have to give you an emergency surgery. I said, huh? What are you talking about? He said, well, you have a bad damage done to your body. He said, your aorta was split in half. The main heart vessel bust, my aorta. And he said, we have to operate on you right now. I said, well, I just had a brain surgery. I don't want no more surgeries, you know. And then he said, I don't think you understand. I have to make myself clear. He said, if we don't do this right now, you're gonna die right now. And I said, what the hell? I'm already dead. And then, because that's how I used to feel. I felt like I was already dead with all these things happening to me, you know. I didn't think I was alive. So I started cursing and I said, what the hell? I have nothing left to lose. If anything, hopefully I'll make it to heaven, you know? Because I thought I was going to die. I didn't think I was going to wake up. I didn't expect to. To my surprise, I wake up, successful surgery. And the odds of a successful surgery in this hospital was 0 to none. Because this hospital has a bad rep in New York. They used to back in the days. Now I think they're getting better. But back in the days, they were the worst rated hospital. And they call them Brookdale. The name of the hospital is Brookdale, and they call it Killerdale. Because when you go in, you don't come out alive. You know? But that night I got hit by the car. I just have to say this was all God's doing that night. Because there was the surgeon, the doctor that was in the ER that night was not supposed to be there that night. He was just on call for that night, you know? And he was, just so happened, he was a heart surgeon. And he was working with an Indian doctor. And the two of them did the surgery. And the surgery was successful. And the doctor was surprised it was successful. Because he said that 80% of the people with an aortic valve, a busted aortic valve, die. 80%, you know? So that leaves me in the 20% of people that live, you know? And that's a slim percentage. And you and I both know that that's slim. And I know that God put him there that night at the right time. God orchestrated it to be so. Just like the night I got shot. The very moment I ended up in the ER at Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn, a team of European brain surgeons just landed from Europe to Brooklyn, New York. A team of brain surgeons. And they came to Kings County Hospital, the hospital which I was just being brought to. So once again, you can see that this is God orchestrating this because he knows the enemy was after me all this time. So he fixed it so that I would have the best doctors on deck. And the best doctors were on deck each and every time, you know? And I thank him for that. Each and every time. And my family prayed so much over over the time over the period of time I was in these long comas. They were praying for me, and the church was praying for me, and I think all of that really pulled me through.
So tell us, how many months were you in a coma for each incident?
Um, for getting shot, that they said that was about 6 months, and then the car accident, I was in a longer coma. That was probably like a year, like 8 months to a year, because you know the they had to do the surgery and fix the valve, and and I had another head trauma. The car, I landed on my head when I flew in the air, and caused brain damage again. I was paralyzed all over again, and I was in a wheelchair once again. So I was angry now. I was real angry, more angrier than when I got shot, because that was a first time incident. But I worked my way back on my feet, and I was okay, you know. But this car accident was 10 times worse than the gunshot accident. And the doctor explained this to me. He said, "Oh, you think getting shot was bad, huh?" And he started laughing. He said, "Ha ha ha," and he started to laugh. And he said, "No, this car accident is 10 times worse. 10 times worse, because it not only paralyzed me, it broke bones this time. You know, it broke my leg in 3 places: my tibia, my fibula, and my ankle. And it cracked my chest plate. My chest cavity cracked in half. So when that cracked, the pressure from that snapped my aorta in half, you know, and then the blood started to leak, and I was drowning in my own blood. So, you know, that was severe. That was supposed to be instant death, they were saying. They said that the gunshot was bad, but this is way worse. 10 times. And I was left in a wheelchair, and this took an emotional toll on me. You know, I was very sad. I was very angry. I had suicidal thoughts throughout the years. I'd pull a gun out and then hold it and look at it, put it close to my head, and then try to find some reason to live. And then I would come up with a reason, you know, like life itself, you know, making a family one day, you know, and then raising my brother Jermaine. That gave me more reason to not want to do nothing and hurt myself.
Raising your brother Jermaine, how old was he? Why did you have to raise him?
Because, no, my father didn't want nothing to do with him no more after his money was used up, because he had about $30,000 in the bank, and when the money was used up, nobody really wanted him, you know, because here he is, a deaf man who has a slight retardation. He has a slight undeveloped brain. He's special ed. So, you know, his condition got worse over the years, and nobody wanted that responsibility because it seemed like too much of a burden. So they decided that, hey, Tony can do it. Tom. So what? Tony's disabled also. They're not thinking of that. So what? Tony had 2 open heart surgeries. 1 at first. And so what? Tony is living off of SSI. We're doing real fine, but Tony can raise him. And it was very hard. So I decided to send him away to Florida for to give myself a rest. And I sent him away because he was getting involved into Crips, and he became, a gang member, and it's like I couldn't really stop him because I was just recovering from getting hit by the car, and I really was barely walking, holding on to walls in the house, so I couldn't stand up and say, you can't have this person come over. I couldn't take control. But, I decided to send him away for a little while. And then when I sent him away, my mother and my sister were in Florida, and they were to be his caretakers. Now, he's schizophrenic now. And he's also hearing impaired. So he's in Florida, and the years are passing. Well, not even the years, the months. And he went down in 2001. By 2003, I had to go get him. And my mom, by that time, had given up on life and was dying from breast cancer. So, he was under the care of my sister, really, Jackie, which, she wasn't doing a good job because she was neglecting him and starving him, and he wasn't getting no care. He was supposed to be under meds at all times, and nobody was doing nothing. So when I went down to Florida to my mom's funeral, I noticed Jermaine, he looked a mess. He smelled a mess. He looked underweight, malnourished. And, that's when the compassion of a big brother kicked in. And I said, also some, anger towards my sister from just treating him like that. How dare her, So what I did was I stood up, I'm a stand-up guy. And I stood up and I said, look, this is my brother. I'm taking him back with me. That's what I told her. I said, I'm bringing him back to Brooklyn, to his real family, me. And then she gave me a real stink look, and I stared her right in the eyes to let her know I was serious. And Then she said, okay, take him. That'd be better for me. I said, exactly. Yeah. And I took him. Taking him back was not a wise, well, it was the wise decision, but it wasn't an easy decision. Jermaine was not an easy task. It was the most difficult task of any sibling could handle. You know, he was like having 5 to 10 kids in one, because Jermaine is a schizophrenic, and also he has back spasms, and he has seizure disorder, and also he's deaf. He's hearing impaired. So I don't know sign language, but over the years, you know, I learned how to communicate with him just by, you know, he reads lips. Yeah, he reads lips. So I communicate with him like that. And Jermaine has so many appointments. You know, it was hard at first because they didn't know what was wrong with him. He's diagnosed, they didn't know what to diagnose him. Schizophrenic or what? You know, if you have a mental illness, it's fine. They have plenty of services. If you are deaf alone, they have many services for that, for hearing impaired. But if you are hearing impaired and mentally ill, that's a big issue. They don't cover that. So, you know, he's outside of the box. His disability. It's not inside of the box. You know, you need a specialist to deal with him. And he sees a doctor in New York. And all they're good for is meds. And he goes to see them every three months. And all they do is give him meds and ask him questions. The same meds. You know, his condition doesn't change. He's in they call it eternia, where he's more concerned about what's going on in his mind than what's going on in the world. He's not concerned about nothing going on except in his mind, you know. But he's harmless, and he doesn't fight, you know. He's pretty good. Now that it's been a lot of years, taking care of him is not hard. You know, it became easier. You know, I know all of his meds by heart. I can name them. And he knows his meds by heart. He knows how to organize them. He knows how to take them. I also take meds for seizures because over the years I've had hundreds of seizures. It's hundreds. And basically because I wanted to drink. I wanted to drink alcohol. So I was drinking while on medication with multiple brain damage for years. So it's like I really didn't care. You know, I still didn't wake up. The wake-up call still wasn't there. I had a little change, but it wasn't completely there. So I would say the wake-up call must have came later on in life. You know, when I hit my 30s. Yeah. When I reach my early 30s, I told myself that I want to look like I'm still in my 20s. I made a promise to myself. So I decided to make a change in my diet and exercise as daily as possible to stay fit and looking younger and stay healthy. And my plan worked. I was able, by making myself that promise, I was able to redefine myself from out of a tragic accident and being 215 pounds or 225 pounds, going back down to my teenage weight, 180. And I know my mom's just extra happy because it's been over 10 years since her death. And I know she's been looking down on both of us and she see that we made it this far and she's not here. So I know she's happy. And I know she's especially happy because her last words to me was, "Sorry, I brought you into this world to suffer." She looked me in my eyes and said, "I'm sorry, I brought you in this world to suffer." So now I'm going extra hard and I'm setting out on a mission like to show my moms that she didn't bring me into this world to suffer, that I will be okay, that I am okay, that, life will be okay, and I'm not gonna suffer, and my brother will be okay too. So if we don't find him a group home, I'll still take care of him, until, till we need to the end of time. Who knows? God plays a major role in my life because, He has provided me with a lot of wisdom. He has made me wise. I pray to Him for wisdom, and time again, He has given it to me, and without that kind of wisdom, I would have went backward instead of forward. I would have kept on relapsing. I would still be having seizures. I probably wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that I've gotten over the years. So I'm thankful for that. God is a great God. And I try to give back by, going to church and, I do ushering in the church. I'm an usher. They do praise and they do worship over there. And, I'm trying to I'm in school. I went back to school because, I want to get my GED, my high school diploma, and pursue a degree in biology or something about the physical, I want to be a physical therapist. That's like one of my passions. And one of my ultimate goals is to have a rehabilitation center and, provide services to people where I can help them hands-on and, share my knowledge with them so they too can, get better and recover, because I know a lot about recovering. I spent years doing it, and I'm still doing it. I'm still recovering. And the reason why I have to always recover extra hard is because of my nerve damage. The combination of my nerve damage with my broken ankle, it's fused and it's not set normal. When I was discharged, when I came out the hospital, they did a bad job of setting the ankle. So, I gotta live with that, you know. But at least I'm living. At least I'm walking. At least I'm talking. At least I'm breathing. At least I'm eating. At least, I can think. I've gotten multiple brain injuries on top of each other. And I can tell you that. I'm not supposed to be able to tell you that. Because that's a miracle. It's amazing. I have a book coming out. And the title is A Little More Than Amazing. And I pray that it will change a lot of lives out there. I like to do motivational speaking. And, if I could just make a difference in the life of somebody, then it's all worth it. If something I can say will change this person's life, or if they're going in a negative path, and I can help them change it to a positive direction, then I'm all for it. Because the old me is dead and gone, like T.I. said. Like T.I. the rapper said, the old me is dead and gone. I don't live a negative life. I surround myself with positivity, and I embrace, positive energy.
So do you have any plans to make a film of your life?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. I would like that. I would like to make a film from the time I was young, how I came up, the challenges I faced on the street, the bullies that used to, bully me, and then how things turned around as I grew up and became big and strong, and then I became the bully. I would like to make a movie on that and show people like it just wasn't easy. But a good ending can come out of a bad situation. The name of the film would be Lucky Me. I can't see no other name for it. It's like I might be the luckiest person on planet Earth right now. I might, but also the unluckiest at the same time. Because who goes through that kind of brutal agony? Who? Not no human being. Not no human being I know. I know Christ, they put him on the cross, and that was the ultimate sacrifice for us. But other than that, no human beings is going through this type of torture and surviving and living to tell about it. It just doesn't happen. It's unreal. Sometimes I have to ask myself if this is all a dream. I have to really question it. I say, I wonder if I'm still in a coma and everything just seems real. As I pinch myself, I see that is very real. As I throw it in the air, I see that is real. You know, I do engage in smoking marijuana because it's beneficial to me. I have a nerve problem because of my brain damage, and turns out weed is a medicine to calm my nerves when they act up. And I've been, smoking marijuana for a few years, quite a few years, and my doctor even knows.
That's Tony for you, Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York, I'm coming straight from the concrete jungle. The concrete jungle, I mean the belly of the beast. I've been there, I've been bloody walls and crack spots. I mean tortured victims. I've been there, I've seen it all. I've seen people shot down in front of me. I've seen it, crying out. I've been shot. I've been that victim. I've been that target. I've soloed those keys. I hustled on that corner. I took those cars, those stolies. I was New Jersey Drive before New Jersey Drive. Before the actual show, before it was popular. I was all of that. I was the OG. I am the OG. Tony Tone. The popular ladies' man from back in the days. Still to today. Still got the swag. Still got the style. I believe that this young generation, they need a mentor, a big brother, a father figure more than ever. But those father figures, those mentors, they have to be showing them positive things. They have to be teaching them the right things. If they're teaching them the wrong things, to be violent, if they're promoting violence, they're just leading them astray. If they're not letting them know that education is the only thing they have out here, then they're doing them unjust. They're not doing them injustice. And they really need that. The young who were surrounded me, like my other nephew and his peoples and people from the neighborhood, young kids, who I was supposed to give good advice to. They looked up to me, but I wasn't really giving them good advice. I wasn't letting them know that, gangbanging wasn't cool. I wasn't letting them know. Even though I wasn't a gangbanger myself, I didn't let them know, like, the dangers of the street life. Even though I was a prime example, I guess that's why they looked up to me in the first place, because I was a target. I was gunned down in the streets. I was a survivor of the streets. I was living a street life. So they looked up to that. They envied that. But I should let them know that that's nothing to envy. That's nothing to look up to. That was the wrong path. Because there's always a option. I live my life. There's always a positive option out there. You can always find a way to make money. You don't have to do nothing that's gonna get you locked up. Even though you want a big amount of money quickly, it's not always about getting it quickly. Sometimes you have to start from the bottom and work your way up. But a lot of kids, including myself, didn't understand it. I wanted it fast. And then, being that I wanted it fast, I set the same tempo and gave the same message to the young kids who surrounded me. And they thought that was cool when it wasn't. And my first apartment was off the chain. It was like, I kind of wanted it to be like a college sorority apartment, like having fun, just party nonstop. That's the way I pictured my first apartment, because I actually wanted to go to college and do those things and be in a, campus and do those kind of things, but I didn't get the opportunity. So my apartment was like my campus. Real talk. It was like party, 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 alcohol, alcohol, pass out, party, sex, sex, party, pass out. It was wild. It was wild. And then with, having a young nephew around me who wanted to do the same thing, it was like everybody was wasting time. Because when I think about it, all those years I could have been doing something else. Although I had fun partying, I wouldn't take it back. Those years were nice, But it's just that I could have been spreading a positive message instead of a negative one, which didn't get me nowhere at the time. But one positive thing I did do is always think about education. Even though I dropped out of high school and I dropped out of junior high, I always felt like I was missing out on my education, and I didn't like that. I used to be around younger teenagers that was more intelligent than I am, school-wise. So that made me feel like I know I'm missing out. So I started to pursue my education. Each and every time I was in an incident and was released from my incident, I would try to go back into some form of education and pursue it. So basically, for this generation, this young generation, they should all try their best, to use their brain. God made everybody. He created all men equal. We all have the ability to use this. Knowledge is power. You waste your knowledge, you're just wasting your life. You're not making no progress. You're not benefiting the world. Everyone plays a role in this world. You got to make up your mind if you're going to play a negative one or a positive one. Over and out.